All right, thanks very much. I will have forward-looking statements in this talk. Sun Metals is a company that's based in Vancouver. I'm the founding CEO. I joined this group from Imperial Metals, where I had a career of 24 years. It's a media producer in British Columbia. And we took the company public in May of 2018 and had one asset, the Stardust asset. It's a property that I knew. It's a property I like. And in 18 months since we've gone public, we've made a significant discovery there, and we're drilling out this new zone of mineralization. So we've achieved a lot in the last year and a half, and I'll give you some of the details on that here. So we do have 100% of the project. It was actually an option agreement that we had in place to get the project, but rather than completing the earn-in, we just took the parent company over, and that was a much more effective way. As a result, we have no underlying royalties or other encumbrances on the property. This is a historic project. Exploration goes back to the Second World War. First discovery of mineralization was in 1944, and over the years, epithermal veins had been explored. In the 70s and 80s, they got into the zinc, lead, silver mantle part of the system. And in the late 90s, copper gold skarn part of the system was discovered. So it's happened over a long period of time. None of that data had been put into a computerized database. So one of the first things that we did was we computerized the entire system there, and we were able to do some 3D modeling. In our first season of exploration, that resulted in us finding a feeder zone of much thicker, more robust mineralization. From the historic work, though, we did do a 43-101 update estimate in January of 2018, and you can see it there. It's just about 3 million tons of about 2.8% copper equivalent. So we're hitting the road running with a fairly good resource to start off with. Project is located in north-central British Columbia. We're about a 4-hour drive northwest of Prince George. Prince George is a city of 100,000 people. If you can't get it in Prince George, you can't get it anywhere. And it's a drive to the property, not a helicopter ride. So my helicopter budget is $0. You can drive a Cadillac right onto the property, or a BMW if you want. We've got excellent infrastructure in the area in terms of rail, 38 kilometers to the west, power nearby. We've got a somewhat localized workforce, but we're far enough away from civilization that we're not going to have the NIMBY effect, which is fantastic. So if you're going to pick a spot in British Columbia to put a mining project, this would be it. And we're halfway between Mount Milligan and Kemess, which are two major mines in British Columbia. Kemess is shut down. Mount Milligan is one of the newer mines. And importantly, in British Columbia, working with First Nations, we have a good relationship with the local First Nation, Takla. They're very active in the exploration. They do all of our earthworks, lumber supply. We have an agreement with them. They're stakeholders in the company. Dr. Peter McGaw, the founder of Mag Silver, is in many people's mind, including mine, the leading authority in carbonate replacement systems. This is his model that he uses on every project that he works on across the globe, and it's actually largely influenced by Stardust. Peter and I first worked together in 1997 on the Silvertip project, the only other well-known CRD system in British Columbia. And after we worked together there, Peter went on to work at Stardust. He was the guy that actually found the copper-gold part of the system. He put the first drill hole into the skarn in 1999. It's one of the few systems anywhere in the world that is fully integrated with the multi-phase copper-moly porphyry, the copper-gold massive sulfides outbound from that, the zinc-silver mantle part of the system there, and then the epithermal veins where the discovery was first made in 1944. All those components are still in place. Quite often when you go to a CRD deposit, you'll only find the mantles or only find the skarn. We've got it all. So that's the model. This is the reality. This is the plan view of the mineralization. You can see the epithermal veins in yellow down in the south, and then the brown is the mantle part of the system. The red is the skarn, copper gold part of the system. And our new discovery is a feeder zone that's right underneath that area there, just to the north side of the creek. And you can see some of the grades that we've been hitting in this zone. We start off the discovery hole 100 meters of 5% copper equivalent, one of the most significant copper drill holes anywhere in 2018. And our follow-up drilling has shown some spectacularly high grades. All of these are length times grade greater than 150, so that's a pretty good metric indicating that we're adding a lot of pounds of copper and ounces of gold with every drill hole. This was our approach in 2018, so this is when we made the big discovery. The light pink shadow, hopefully you can see that at the back of the room, that's the buried intrusive that's shown by a magnetic anomaly. And our idea with the 2018 program was to go up into the heart of the system where we're most likely to find a feeder zone, so getting back closer to the source of those mineralizing fluids. And the idea was that if we get into a feeder zone, it's going to be thicker, more robust, potentially richer mineralization. And sure enough, we found one with hole 421. That's the name of the 421 zone. This is the 2019 program here on the right-hand side of the slide. And you can see that we've got the discovery hole here in the middle, and we've got some sections to look at to the south and also some to the north. And we're just going to go through a few of the sections right now. Oh, but first I'm going to tell you why we explore for CRDs. Carbonate replacement deposits can be extremely rewarding. Taylor deposit, Joe just talked about that, $1.8 billion takeover a couple of years ago. That's a carbonate replacement system. JDS Silvertip deposit was sold to Corp in 2017 for $250 million US. That's the project I was running in the mid-90s when Peter and I first met. Santa Eulalia is the grandpappy of all the carbonate replacement systems. It's a mine that's been working continuously in Mexico for over 300 years. It's still in operation today. And Mag Silver, of course, is one of the companies in the market that has got a market cap of over $1 billion on the back of mainly the Juanicipio deposit, but they're exploring exclusively for CRDs. So these can be very valuable, very rewarding projects. So now looking at some of the results from 2019, this is the southerly-most section that we've got in the deposit. You can see that we've got 90 meters of 2.25% copper equivalent there. This has not been drilled to the south, so it's still open in the direction to the south from here. And you'll note, I'll also point out that the scar and alteration, the alteration envelope that's around the mineralization is demonstrated by this yellow with the red stripes through it. So we've got a large, very extensive alteration zone around the mineralization, indicating that we're in one of these main fluid flow pathways. And this is the discovery section. Hole 421 is on the top with 100 meters of 5% copper equivalent. We did one undercut underneath that, 142.5 meters of 3.4% copper equivalent. And then underneath that, we've got two distinct zones in the next hole, 22 meters and then 107 meters of 3% copper equivalent. So building a lot of continuity and size as we go through these sections. And then this is a section to the north, and you can see not quite as thick. This one hole here had a nice 86-meter intercept of 3% copper equivalent. We didn't get through the mineralized zone in that particular hole. We hit a vug, and we were still in mineralization down here at the end, and we tried for 3 days to get that drill to penetrate further, and we couldn't get it to. So that was potentially another 100-meter intercept there. We don't know exactly how long that would have been. But again, some really nice high grades. Down here you can see 7.4% copper equivalent over 11 meters. So you get these high grade spikes throughout all of this mineralization. It's really a fantastic deposit. Those were all cross sections looking to the north. This is a long section looking to the west, and you can see the discovery hole up here. There's the section to the south and the one to the north. It's still open in the northerly direction, still open to the south. We've currently got two drills that are drilling it out to the north, and they're on the next two fences to the north. And we've got a third drill. We announced quite a while ago that we were adding a third drill. We haven't been able to do that yet because we didn't have the camp capacity to be able to handle a third crew. We finally have that in place now, and we're hoping that that third drill will be mobilized this week, and we'll be able to start drilling on the south end here to see if we can find an extension in that direction. When we first hit the hole 421 in 2018, you can see it down here. I asked the guys if they could imagine what a 5 million ton deposit would look like. In my mind, I thought that 5 million tons of roughly 3% copper equivalent would actually be a mineable project. So that would sort of be our first tier goal. And they put together this oblong cylinder, that's 5 million tons at about 3.5 grams per ton, which is our specific gravity. And you can see that after a year of drilling, this is the grade shelf that's around the current drilling. So what we're finding is actually very similar to what we imagined at the beginning of this season. So things are working out very well for us. And of course, there's no reason to think that this is going to be limited to 5 million tons. We are still open to the north, and we're still open to the south. So in summary, we've got a great project. That first bullet point cannot be understated. Tier 1 jurisdictions are becoming more and more important. We're seeing this, we've been seeing this actually for a few years now from the majors. They've been focusing on this. Rio Tinto moved back to Vancouver a few years ago and set up an office there. South 32 just moved in across the street from us. So we're seeing the majors starting to look back into these safer jurisdictions, and that is definitely British Columbia. Within British Columbia, if you're going to pick a spot for a mining project, we've got it. We've got great infrastructure in the area, good community support. We've got a great climatic condition there. So we're going to continue our exploration in the winter. We're not out on the coast where you get 70 or 80 feet of snow like there are in some parts of British Columbia. We get 4 or 5 feet of snow in the wintertime. So it's very workable in the winter. It's high grade. This is very important for projects that well, we've seen porphyry deposits that have been put into operation in recent years where they're multi-billion-dollar capital costs. This is a much lower risk opportunity to put a mine into production with a high metal profile. Polymetallic with both copper and gold, about 60% by value copper on average and 40% gold, but it does vary a little bit from place to place, but two good commodities to have. We've got a very experienced team that's done it all before, so not just a team that can do it, but a team that has done it. That's all the way from the board down through the executive and management. And of course, we're very excited about what we're finding, so we're going to continue our exploration into the winter. There's our current share structure. We just finished doing a financing. We raised $6.15 million. We got 148 million shares out. Founders and insiders own about 24% of the company. Teck Resources owns just under 10% of the company. And you can see our float is about 99 million. We've traded 90 million shares in the last 6 months since June. And so basically our float has been turned over completely. And, you know, speaking of the executive, of course, there's Mark O'Day, the founder and leader of the Oxygen Group. He's done a great job over the years, and of course his career has been highlighted by the $2.3 billion takeover of his Frontier Gold. His partners are Donald McGinnis and Sean Tetzlaff, and a guy that's not pictured here, Ian Neal. He won the Prospector of the Year award in 2003 for the discovery of a 50 million ton massive sulfide. So we've got a great team working on this project that's got the ability to move it forward. So it's a simple story, and I hope that you would take the time to go to our website. We've got some great videos on there. Dr. Peter McGaw is a very natural professor. He explains these complicated deposits in a way that everybody can understand, and we've got some great short 2-minute videos. So please go to sunmetals.ca and check those out. Thanks very much for your attention.